Hey folks, Ariel over here at Finest. Where today I have a water leak issue. This space is where the fridge normally sits, and as you can see, it's empty right now. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you know what this is what I originally started to, share info for. If I had to learn something the hard way, hopefully save someone else the problem. What you can barely see down here in the dark, probably, is the cork flooring tiles pulled up with a little fan running to dry out the floor. Because a few days ago, I was sitting, this is the bathroom door, sitting on the toilet. I looked over and I thought, I see the light reflecting off a bubble in the floor here. This is a problem. Something has bubbled the floor. That's how I became aware of this issue. I had a faint bubble there from a few years ago, and I don't even remember if I had done a video on this or not, because I actually had a water leak in the fridge that was completely my fault. There's a drain in the back of that fridge that works really well. Any condensation or anything you spill or whatever goes into a little pan that sits on top of the condenser in the back, and the heat from the condenser evaporates it. Works great. I had managed to let gunk accumulate in that little drain. It plugged it, and so the water went somewhere else and soaked into the floor. Figured that out. I've made sure it never got plugged again, never had an issue again. I love my little fridge. I got a video from quite a while ago doing a review on it. It's still going strong 8 years in. But I saw a little bubble developing here, and I thought, oh no, something is wrong. I'm going to have to investigate. So the fridge is currently behind the camera out there sitting in the living room because it's not right here. So the floor was all bubbled up and wet here, so I had to figure out where it was coming from. Now, this is kind of hard to get on video because it's hard to get me and stuff into the same spot. But, right back here, let me turn on that light. Where you can probably see this little glow coming from. This is the water heater closet area. Well, the water area in general. The bottom half from about here down is the freshwater tank that holds water, and on top of that is my little water heater tank. The water pump is in here. I've done a video on replacing that. And anyway, one of the little pieces of plumbing in here was dripping water. I don't know, it didn't seem like a very big drip, so I don't know if that was occurring, if that was something that like loosened up in the process of moving the tiny house. If it had been going on before that, I'm not sure. But there was, a connector between two hoses, and it just wasn't quite snug, and there was a little bit of water seeping out around that, which was a problem. Because, obviously, this is a slightly difficult place to get to most of the time, because the fridge door is sitting right out here, and you have to pull the fridge the whole way out through the kitchen. Or if you pull it only part way out through the kitchen, then you have to crawl on top of the stove and through the sink to get over it. Anyway, that's one disadvantage of having a very small space. Some things are very crammed. So there was water soaked into everything under here, and then it had seeped down into the floor here. So it's drying out again. Fortunately, I do live in a super dry climate, and it's been blistering hot and dry, so it's good weather for drying things out again. Then I'll have to glue these tiles back down. They'll never be quite right, but I don't really know what I could have done to prevent this, because I'm assuming that probably the leak developed while it was in the process of moving the tiny house, but I don't know that for sure. But it let it leak for quite a few weeks before I realized there was a problem. Now, Clay suggested something which I think would be a really good idea. If you are building a tiny house from scratch right now, and you're going to do something like this, which almost all of them do, put all your water appliance stuff in a fairly inaccessible corner, which is part of the nature of having a small space, it would probably be a wise idea to, right down at the base, put basically a tub pan, like the base for a shower, so that if down the road you ever get leaks, now I've had very few issues in this house, in 8 years of living in here, but if anywhere down the road you get a leak for any reason, because something freeze and burst, because something works loose, because, just whatever, you would already have a pan installed that was waterproof that it could drain into, and set it up to drain, just like my sink drains, the shower that's in here drains, etc. then you would still need to figure out your leak and deal with it, but you wouldn't have it soaking into your floor or other things that you didn't want ruined, because it would just automatically drain. I think that would be a really good idea. Had some kind of shower pan been installed under this water appliance area when this was built, I would not be doing this right now. It's probably something that's too difficult to go back and retrofit, but I wanted to throw the idea out there because if you're building a tiny house from scratch, I think that will probably save you a whole lot of potential headaches down the road if you install all that stuff instead of on, wood and on top of your cork floor or whatever else, right into a drain pan, especially where it's going to tend to be in a tiny house, tucked into a small, tight, snug corner where you're not just going to like walk by every day and notice if something's leaking. You're not going to notice it, probably just like me, until it's already caused kind of a big issue. Now, fortunately, this is a fixable issue, but it's kind of a pain because for a week now, the fridge has been out there sitting in the living room so that I can get this dried out, and then I'm going to have to fix all this up and then put the fridge back anyway, which certainly would have been nicer to not have to deal with it. So it's fixable, but setting it up so from the start so that this problem can't happen would be a really good idea. So hopefully that's a tip that saves somebody else some headache somewhere down the road, because 8 years in, I got a water leak in the tiny house. Over here at Fineth, thank you so much for watching these videos and spending some of your very valuable time choosing to do that. We hope you found something that was useful, educational, helpful, maybe save someone else some time and trouble, or just something just plain beautiful. If you don't want to miss any videos, subscribe and hit the bell. And thanks for coming along on our journey as we build a new little homestead with our tiny house and everything to come.